Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, the U.S. Senate has voted against President Trump's emergency declaration. Keep watching to learn what to expect from Trump following the vote.
And Buena Vista citizens are having a great week after the Perry McClure girls basketball team won the state tournament for the third time in a row. Reporter Jimmy Johnson will have that story.
Ellie Cosgrove will be reporting live from outside Lime Kiln Theater about the upcoming season.
And Grayson Duran reports on the Senior Food Box program at the Rockbridge Area Relief Association. All that and more, starting now.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Good evening and welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Isabel Chiodo.
And I'm Catherine Young. Happy Pi Day. The Senate voted today against President Trump's emergency declaration.
Are there any senators wishing to change their vote? If not, the yeas are 59, the nays are 41. The joint resolution is passed.
12 key Republican votes in the Republican majority Senate pushed the vote against the president's declaration following the resolution previously passed by the House. The measure prevents Trump from using emergency funds to build a wall on the Mexican border. Republican Senator Mitt Romney said the president expressed his disappointment in Romney's decision to vote against the declaration.
I informed the president last week that I would be voting in favor of the resolution of disapproval.
What did you say?
Well, he'd rather have me vote in a different direction, but I let him know that this, for me, is a matter of defending the Constitution.
The president's been lobbying pretty hard on this. Are you worried about backlash from the president for your support for this resolution?
I think the president recognizes that that senators will vote their conscience, will vote based upon their assessment of what's at stake and the principles involved, and different senators see it different ways. That's the nature of a pluralistic Senate. But the president can certainly express his views, as he has, and individual senators will express theirs.
The vote took place around 2:30 today. Romney was joined by Republican Senators Lamar Alexander and Pat Toomey in announcing ahead of the vote their intention to go against the president.
I'll probably have to veto, and it's not going to be overturned, and we're going to have our whole thing. It's been, the legal scholars all say it's totally constitutional. It's very important. It's really a border security vote. It's pure and simple. It's a vote for border security. It's a vote for no crime.
If Trump does use his veto powers, it is unlikely the Senate will have the votes to overturn it.
President Trump endured yet another stinging rebuke from his own party Wednesday. The GOP-controlled Senate voted to curtail U.S. military support for a Saudi-led war in Yemen, which has created a humanitarian crisis in that country. 7 Republicans voted with Democrats to clear the Yemen War Powers Resolution in what was seen as a criticism of Trump's Middle East policies. The resolution now heads to the House of Representatives, which approved a similar measure earlier this year. However, Trump is expected to veto the measure. Proponents of the War Powers Resolution said U.S. involvement in the war needs explicit permission from Congress. But those who oppose the measure argued the U.S. is offering only non-combat technical assistance to Saudi Arabia. Former U.S. Senator Birch Bayh died this morning at his home in Easton, Maryland. The Liberal Democrat championed the Title IX federal law and sponsored a constitutional amendment lowering the voting age to 18. The passage of the Title IX law came at a time when women earned fewer than 10% of all medical and law degrees. Bayh said the law was aimed at giving women a better shot at high-paying jobs. He continued to support the law's enforcement for years after leaving Congress.
Justices in the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled 4-3 today that Remington can be sued over the Sandy Hook shooting more than 6 years ago. The decision overturned a lower court ruling in favor of the gun company. A survivor of the Sandy Hook shooting and the relatives of 9 people who were killed are part of the group suing Remington. They claim the rifle used by the shooter is too dangerous for the public, and Remington glorifies the gun in its marketing. Most of the lawsuit's allegations were dismissed, but the court allowed the wrongful marketing claim lawsuit to proceed. A New York Times report says federal prosecutors are conducting a criminal investigation into Facebook's data sharing deals with a number of large technology companies. The report says a New York grand jury has subpoenaed 2 well-known smartphone makers for records related to the investigation. Facebook's partners were able to access user data without obtaining consent. When asked for a comment, a Facebook spokesperson did not address the New York Times story specifically, but says Facebook is cooperating with the investigation. The House Foreign Affairs Committee approved 3 bills intended to set up pressure against President Maduro's government in Venezuela. The approval came a day after the U.S. Embassy in Venezuela was evacuated. The bill would restrict the exports of tear gas, riot gear, and other crime control gear going into Venezuela. Another bill urges the Trump administration to provide up to $150 million in humanitarian aid. Venezuela has been plagued by power outages, water, and gas shortages. Supermarkets are empty and looting is frequent as people struggle to find food. Soldiers under Maduro are preventing a lot of aid from entering the country. The final bill would require the State Department to assess the threat of Russian influence in Venezuela.
2 college students have filed a lawsuit against multiple colleges caught up in the bribery scandal. The students claim the colleges denied them a fair opportunity for admission. The students also say the scheme gave unqualified students admission to highly selective universities. Colleges named in the lawsuit include the University of California, Wake Forest, the University of Southern California, Georgetown, and Yale. The lawsuit follows the uncovery of a nationwide college scam. 50 people are facing multiple charges, including racketeering and fraud.
Virginia Governor Ralph Northam vetoed a piece of legislation this morning that would limit his authority on instituting a carbon cap and trade plan. The bill would require legislative approval before the state can participate in the Regional Greenhouse Initiative. Northam says the initiative is needed to fight climate change.
Buena Vista is basking in the glow of Perry McClure's 3-peat basketball state championship. The city is still talking about the team and a talented senior class they'll truly miss. Jimmy Johnson III has the story.
Magnolia Street was packed with fans cheering for the varsity girls basketball team on its way to Richmond on Friday. One day later, the Buena Vista fans were back on the street to receive the girls in their 3rd straight championship trophy. Senior point guard Peyton Moeller says the team's support helped fuel the team in its 58-45 state victory against Surry County High School.
It's such a great feeling to know that we have that much support when we leave town, and when we're on the court too. We make a bucket and the whole crowd goes nuts. It's great.
Owner of Becky's Bridal, Rebecca Fairchild, says everyone in her shop celebrated when the game clock struck 0 last weekend.
I said, Perry McClure High School has just won the state for basketball. This is their 3rd. This is history making here in Buena Vista. And they, you know what they did? They all clapped.
Head coach Adam Gilbert said this senior class will go down as one of the best in Perry McClure's school history. 4 district championships and over 100 wins top off their recent state victories.
It was jubilation there, right after, and then it hits you like it's the last time we're going to do anything together as a group.
Fairchild says the team's success is a light for Buena Vista in the midst of legal issues with the local golf course.
It always gives you a boost. We've had a hard time. Our sports has been like a lifeline to being happy and ecstatic about something.
Gilbert said all 9 seniors received looks from colleges, but only Peyton Moeller is going to continue her athletic career at the next level. As for the future of Perry McClure girls basketball, Gilbert says the team will be very young next year, featuring 9 sophomores. Flowers and Things boutique owner Mary Huffman said this senior class will be missed by the entire town.
Well, we'd all like to see, one more game because they were just phenomenal to watch.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Jimmy Johnson III.
Coming up after the break, Ellie Cosgrove tells us what to expect this year from the Limekiln Theater, including an extended season.
And Grayson Duran tells us how the Rockbridge Area Relief Association is helping seniors so they don't have to choose between medication and healthy food. Lexington City School Superintendent this week. They talked about what new ideas she hopes to bring and what her thoughts are on the potential of a new Lexington City High School.
I'm from this area. I grew up in the area, live about 10 minutes away from my office, and to have the opportunity to serve at a high level of leadership position for Lexington City was intriguing to me. I feel like I have the opportunity to serve the students in our school district, to serve the community where I live and where I grew up, and I couldn't imagine a better place to have the opportunity to lead.
Limekiln Theater has announced its schedule for this year and is expecting some big names. Ellie Cosgrove is currently live at the Limekiln Theater to talk to us about what music fans should expect. Ellie?
That's right, Catherine. There are some big names coming, one of those being Chris Thiel. But I spoke with Executive Director Spencer McElroy yesterday, and what he said was new this season is they're actually able to extend the regular season to have 2 shows in May and 2 to 3 shows in September. And the reason they're able to do this is because they no longer rely on Washington and Lee University as a backup rain location. They actually have a backup location on site now, as well as a retractable roof covering that goes over the main stage. And McElroy also said that he's actually hoping to sell out almost every show this summer. They came close last summer. There's 650 sellable tickets per show. They averaged about 608 over the entire summer. So he's hoping to improve on that number. And the season really kicks off on May 10th with the infamous String Dusters. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Ellie Cosgrove. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Ellie. Crawford, it's been beautiful outside today. It was actually so warm I had to take my jacket home. Is this warm weather going to stick around?
This is the warmest it's been in Lexington, and this is very unusual for early March. However, the warm weather will disappear and we will go back to that normal March weather. But the sun will stick around this weekend and into early next week. Let's take a look at the numbers. We will start with our live shot of Lexington, Virginia. As I said, a beautiful day, a high of 69 degrees and partly sunny skies, even though we started off with a low of 37 degrees this morning. The barometric pressure at 30.05 inches of mercury and a cool breeze coming in with that 26 mile per hour wind speed. 47% humidity tops off the day, and we will move in to our local radar. No precipitation in the Lexington area today. However, that is soon to change tomorrow, and we will get to that in just a little bit at the 5-day forecast. But first, let's look at our local conditions around the area. For early March, we're looking pretty good. Buena Vista at 69, Lynchburg at 69, Lexington at 69, Stanton at a warm 70 degrees, and Charlottesville, the high today for those Wahoos, 73 degrees. And we will finish with our 5-day forecast. Let's start with Friday tomorrow. It is expected to rain, so a big shift from what we have seen outside today, but a high of 69. So keeping that warm weather, and then we have the same high for 4 straight days. 52 and sunny for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So not the warmest weather, but very typical for March in Virginia. That's all for the weather. Isabel and Catherine, back to you guys.
Thanks, Crawford. The Rockbridge Area Relief Association is giving low-income seniors access to healthy food through its Senior Food Boxes program. Grayson Duran has the story.
When you have the choice between medication or healthy food, which would you choose? Low-income seniors in the Rockbridge area face this question. The Rockbridge Area Relief Association started the Senior Food Boxes program to help bring healthy food to people 60 years or older with an income at or below 130% of the federal poverty level.
The goal is to get food to people that otherwise aren't able to come to the food pantry. Maybe seniors that are homebound or live in remote areas.
RARA started the program in September 2018 by partnering with the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank. The program is already serving 100 people a month, but Perez hopes to increase the program's recognition in the community.
It helps them to have money to spend on their health issues that they otherwise might have to put to food.
The Senior Food Boxes program is part of the Department of Agriculture's Commodity Supplemental Food Program. The USDA gives food and resources to state agencies. These state agencies then distribute food to local ones.
We get our 100 boxes prior to the beginning of each month, and the boxes can vary from month to month.
Every participant receives the same items in their monthly boxes. Items include peanut butter, pear slices, and oatmeal. Perez said the most popular item is a 2-pound block of cheese. Volunteers are the backbone of this operation. They pick up food boxes throughout the month and make deliveries. Emily Ayers has been volunteering with the program for 3 months.
There's one nice lady that you can just tell that she would like some company. We always spend a little extra time stopping and chatting with her.
Perez said people on the wait list may still be able to receive boxes. There are 40 more spots available on the program's wait list.
There are definitely people out there that haven't maybe heard of the program, or they perhaps don't have a way to get to one of the mobile food pantries.
Perez hopes more conversation about the program will solve this issue so RARA can help even more low-income seniors in the Rockbridge area. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Grayson Duran.
After the break, we'll have the latest on Jussie Smollett, who appeared in court today.
And later, thousands join in on a prank 2 sons pulled on their dad. President Trump has responded to the Senate vote held earlier today against his emergency declaration. His tweet was just one word: veto. The Rockbridge Area Hospice is calling for more volunteers to visit with patients. Volunteers usually read books or simply have conversations with patients, all of whom are terminally ill. Rockbridge Report's Elizabeth Underwood sat down with Christine Hopkins, the volunteer program's manager at the hospice. They discussed the importance of the hospice and volunteers, memorable moments, and how local citizens can get involved. To read the full Q&A, visit rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.
Jussie Smollett appeared in court today on charges of lying to the police.
Your Honor, we waive formal reading of the indictment, and Mr. Smollett enters a plea of not guilty.
Thank you.
Smollett pleaded not guilty to the charges following his claim of being a victim of a racist and homophobic attack. He has denied the claim he staged the attack and maintains his innocence. Smollett's lawyers have called the charges against him prosecutorial overkill. Maryland is on the verge of passing a bill that would ban foam food containers and cups. The bill is part of an effort to reduce pollution in waterways and to protect the environment. David Collins reports.
Bill supporters warn at the rate the world is going, there'll be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Environmentalists believe banning the use of polystyrene foam used in carry-out containers and cups is a step forward in cleaning up the planet.
We have a duty, I think, to future generations to start seriously curtailing the use of single-use plastics.
Baltimore City Delegate Brooke Learman is the primary sponsor of the legislation.
It may feel like a small step to say we're going to take this one form of really insidious plastic, styrofoam, and start with that just here in the state of Maryland, but it's a big step because we will be the first state to ban a major form of single-use plastic in America.
The legislation, similar to what the Senate passed last week, prohibits restaurants, cafes, supermarkets, vending trucks, carts, movie theaters, K-12 schools and colleges from selling polystyrene food containers. This includes egg cartons, vegetable trays, and plates. Violators face a $250 fine. There will be a one-year grace period to phase out the containers, and the ban does not apply to products coming in from out of state. The Maryland Retailers Association opposed the bill. In a 2017 report, the association includes the high cost of using alternative packaging as a reason. They claim for every dollar spent on replacement alternatives on average would cost $1.85. The increase would be passed on to consumers. Customers would spend an additional $34.9 million each year to replace the banned products. The bill's sponsor says Maryland is sending a message.
That's really saying something, and I hope it's the start of a larger, bigger effort.
Former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke has joined the field of Democrats running in the 2020 presidential race. He made the announcement in Iowa this morning, pledging to win voters from both major parties. O'Rourke took questions at a separate event following the announcement. He said he hopes a Democrat will be able to oust Donald Trump.
Any single Democrat running today, and I may not be able to enumerate every single one of them right now, would be far better than the current occupant of the White House.
O'Rourke will be going up against at least 15 different Democrats who have also announced their bid for the presidency. Former Vice President Joe Biden is expected to announce his candidacy in the coming days. Paul Manafort will be serving even more time in prison. The former Trump presidential campaign chairman was ordered to serve an additional 43 months in prison on charges of conspiracy and witness tampering in connection to his work lobbying for politicians in Ukraine. This is on top of the 47 months he received last week in federal court in Virginia. He will serve more than 7 years in federal prison between these two cases. But his time in court is not over yet. Prosecutors in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in New York announced state fraud charges against Manafort shortly after his federal sentence was handed down. These charges are connected to mortgage fraud.
Stay tuned after the break for Coleman Martins' sports update. He will tell us the latest on Zion Williams. And he will give us an update on our local teams, including a Buena Vista state champ. Coleman, I've been really enjoying watching the University of Virginia Cavaliers playing in the ACC basketball tournament. What else is going on in sports?
Yeah, Catherine. Also in the ACC, Duke freshman star Zion Williamson is returning to the court after a knee sprain.
He will play in the Blue Devils quarterfinal matchup with Syracuse in the Atlantic Coast Conference tournament. The fifth-ranked Blue Devils announced Williamson's status Thursday morning after he had missed nearly 6 full games because of his injury. The 6'7" and 285-pound Williamson was hurt in the opening minute of last month's loss to UNC Chapel Hill. The Blue Devils went 3-3 while Williamson was out. Williamson is averaging 21.6 points and 8.8 rebounds. Locally, many spring sports kicked off their season this week. The Perry McClure High School baseball team won their season opener yesterday 7-5 over William Fleming. The Fighting Blues girls soccer team also won their season opener on Monday 6-0 against Bland County High School. The Rockbridge County girls lacrosse team lost to Monticello High School 12-11 on Tuesday. The boys lacrosse team also lost to Monticello 13-2. And Rockbridge County High School female thrower Danielle Crawford placed 14th out of 44 competitors in the shot put at the New Balance National Indoor Track Meet last Friday. She became the first RCHS athlete to win a state throwing title at the championship on February 23rd. That's all for sports this week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Crawford. A father in Florida is still reeling after receiving tens of thousands of texts and phone calls wishing him happy birthday yesterday. Jeremy Roth has the story.
A pair of brothers in Florida decided to celebrate their dad's birthday by ruining his life. In honor of Chris Ferry's 62nd birthday, his sons posted his picture on a billboard along with his cell phone number. Yeah, the prank didn't take long to work its magic. Well-wishing calls and texts started flooding in from all over the world.
Saying happy birthday. I said, who's this? Said Nick. Nick who? You don't know me. How do you know it's my birthday? I saw it on a billboard.
Ferry estimates he's received roughly 15,000 texts and calls since the billboard went up.
Well, we figured go big or go home.
All kidding aside, the brothers say they love their dad and hope he has a great birthday.
That's all for the Rockbridge Report. Join us for a live news update next Tuesday at 3:30.
And for news anytime, log on to rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. Thanks for watching.